We asked the most dangerous species for help and paid the price. Part 1. The desperate call. The Zephyrian High Council chamber trembled as another shockwave rippled through their homeworld. Council Prime Vextar watched helplessly as the tactical display showed red markers spreading across their galaxy like a plague. The Devourers had consumed 17 star systems in just 3 months, and nothing could stop them. "Status report," Vextar commanded, his forearms gesturing frantically at the holographic display. The ancient Zephyrian had lived for 8 centuries, ruling over one of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, but he had never faced anything like this. Commander Keltos, his military advisor, approached with visible dread. "Prime, we've lost contact with the Helix Nebula colonies. That's 4 million citizens gone." The reptilian officer's scales darkened with grief. "Our plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, even the reality bombs have no effect. The Devourers absorb every form of energy we throw at them. The massive creatures were unlike anything in the galactic databases. They moved through space like living storms, each one the size of a small moon. When they fed, entire planets withered and died, their life force drained completely. Worst of all, they seemed to be getting stronger with each world they consumed." "What about the crystalline collective?" asked Councillor Drinhal, her crystalline body pulsing with nervous energy. "Their matter-phase weapons?" "Useless," Keltos replied. "The Devourers adapted within hours, same with the Ethereal Empire's psychic attacks and the Machine Syndicate's nanoswarms." Vextar slumped in his command throne. Every major power in the galaxy had tried and failed. The combined might of 1,000 worlds couldn't even slow these creatures down. "How long until they reach Zephyr Prime?" 48 hours, maybe less. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. Then, from the back of the room, a voice spoke up. "There is one option we haven't considered." All eyes turned to Intelligence Officer Kazruth, a young Zephyrian known for his unconventional thinking. "Speak," Vextar ordered. Kazruth activated his datapad and a new display appeared. It showed a small blue-green world on the galaxy's outer rim. Sol 3, also called Earth, home to a species called humans. Several council members hissed in recognition. Humans had a reputation that made even hardened warriors uncomfortable. They were the species that turned disasters into opportunities, that fought harder when outnumbered, that somehow won battles they should have lost. "The humans are classified as a Class X species," Kazruth continued. "Unpredictable, violent, and extremely dangerous. They've been quarantined to their home system for good reason. Quarantined because they're too dangerous to let loose in." "The galaxy," Councillor Drinhal protested. "You're suggesting we ask monsters for help?" "I'm suggesting we ask the only species that might be crazy enough to find a way to stop the Devourers," Kazruth replied firmly. Vextar studied the data on humanity. Their military records were terrifying. They had turned their own moon into a fortress, built weapons that could crack planets, and had something called nuclear deterrence that kept their entire species in constant readiness for war. "Send a message to Earth," Vextar decided. "Tell them we need their help." Earth's response captain Marcus Bulldog Harrison stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, humanity's most advanced warship, as the alien transmission played for the 3rd time. The desperate plea from the Zephyrian High Council filled the command center with its urgent tone. "So let me get this straight," said Lieutenant Commander Victoria Stone, his tactical officer. "The same aliens who locked us in our own solar system, because we're too dangerous, now want our help." Harrison grinned, a cold expression that had earned him his nickname. "Seems about right. What's the situation, Intel?" Dr. Benjamin Cross, the ship's xenobiologist and intelligence analyst, pulled up a holographic display. "The Devourers are unlike anything in our databases. Energy-based life forms that consume planetary biospheres. They've wiped out 17 systems so far." "Casualties?" asked Chief Engineer Rachel Voss, her fingers already dancing over her console as she began running calculations. Conservative estimate? 50 billion dead. Probably more. The bridge fell silent. Even for humans who had grown up with stories of planetary warfare and extinction events, the number was staggering. "Show me their attack patterns," Harrison ordered. The hologram shifted, displaying the Devourer's movements through the galaxy. They moved in a seemingly random pattern, but Harrison's experienced eye caught something others had missed. There, he pointed at the display. They're not just feeding randomly, they're learning, adapting their routes based on resistance levels. They hit the weakest targets first, then use that energy to tackle stronger defenses. That's actually quite intelligent, Dr. Cross murmured. But it also means they might have a weakness. Communications Officer Lisa Park looked up from her station. "Captain, we're receiving priority orders from Earth Command. Admiral Thompson wants to speak with you directly." The main screen flickered, revealing the stern face of Admiral James Thompson, head of Earth's Defense Force. "Captain Harrison, I'm sure you've seen the alien transmission. What's your assessment?" "They're desperate, sir. And frankly, they should be. These Devourers are unlike anything we've faced. But can we stop them?" Harrison glanced at his crew. Stone was already working on weapons configurations, Voss was designing new armor modifications, and Cross was deep in biological analysis. This was what humans did best. They adapted, they innovated, and they never gave up. Give us a chance to study them up close, and I guarantee we'll find a way, Harrison said confidently. Admiral Thompson nodded. "That's what I wanted to hear. You're authorized to take a small fleet outside the quarantine zone. But Harrison, understand what you're walking into. Every major galactic power has failed against these things. With respect, sir, they're not human. No, they're not. Good hunting, Captain." As the transmission ended, Harrison turned to his crew. "All right, people, we're going to war against something that's already beaten everyone else in the galaxy. Questions?" Stone raised her hand. "Just one, sir. When do we leave?" "In 6 hours. Cross, I want everything we know about these Devourers. Voss, start modifying our weapons and shields based on the combat data. Stone, prepare battle scenarios for fighting enemies the size of moons. And if we can't stop them," Park asked quietly. Harrison's grin widened. "Then we make sure they remember the name human before they finish us off. But that's not going to happen. We didn't survive ice ages, world wars, and asteroid impacts just to get eaten by space jellyfish." As the crew dispersed to their tasks, Dr. Cross lingered behind. "Captain, there's something else. The quarantine wasn't just to protect other species from us. It was also to protect us from them. Once we leave the solar system, there's no going back to isolation." Harrison nodded gravely. "I know, Doc. But sometimes you have to risk everything to save everything. Besides, it's time the galaxy learned what humans are really capable of." First contact with Terra, the combined human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler system, where the Devourers had just finished consuming the fourth planet. Captain Harrison stared at the tactical display in grim fascination. The creatures were even more terrifying in person than the alien reports had suggested. "My God," whispered Dr. Cross, his voice barely audible over the bridge's tense silence. "They're beautiful and horrible at the same time. The Devourers moved through space like living auroras, their translucent bodies pulsing with stolen energy from dead worlds. Each creature was roughly the size of Earth's moon, with tendrils that stretched for thousands of kilometers. Where they touched, space itself seemed to wither. Zephyrian fleet is maintaining position at the system's edge," reported Communications Officer Park. They're afraid to get any closer." "Can't blame them," muttered Chief Engineer Voss. "Sensors are showing energy readings that shouldn't be possible. Whatever these things are made of, it's not normal matter." Lieutenant Commander Stone looked up from her tactical station. "Captain, I'm reading 3 devourers in the system. The largest one just finished absorbing Kepler-4. The planet is completely gone, not destroyed, just empty." Harrison activated the ship's intercom. "All hands, this is the captain. We're about to engage an enemy that has defeated every major power in the galaxy. They expect us to fail because everyone else has. They don't understand that humans don't know how to quit." The bridge crew straightened at his words. This was why they served under Bulldog Harrison. He made impossible odds sound like an interesting challenge. "Dr. Cross, any theories on how they consume energy?" The xenobiologist pulled up his analysis. "Based on the readings, they seem to convert matter directly into a form of bioenergy. It's like they're living fusion reactors, but operating on principles we don't understand." "What if we fed them something they couldn't digest?" Harrison mused. Stone caught on immediately. "You're thinking about the Nova bombs." Harrison nodded. Nova bombs were humanity's most controversial weapon, devices that could trigger artificial supernovas. They had been deemed too dangerous for normal warfare, but these weren't normal circumstances. "Voss, can we modify a Nova bomb to detonate inside one of those creatures?" The engineer's eyes lit up with the kind of dangerous enthusiasm that made other species nervous about humans. "Give me 30 minutes and I'll have something that'll give them the worst case of indigestion in galactic history." "Sir," Park interrupted, "the Zephyrian flagship is hailing us. Council Prime Vextar wants to speak with you." The alien leader's 4-armed form appeared on the main screen, his expression desperate. "Captain Harrison, our sensors show you're moving toward the Devourers. Please reconsider. We cannot afford to lose Earth's forces in a hopeless attack." "With respect, Prime Vextar, hopeless attacks are a human specialty," Harrison replied. "We didn't become the most feared species in the galaxy by running away from impossible odds." "Feared?" Vextar's confusion was evident. "Captain, you were quarantined because your species is unpredictable and violent. You wage war as if you enjoy it." Harrison's grin was predatory. "Prime, you quarantined us because you were afraid of what we might do if we got loose in the galaxy. Today, you're going to find out if that fear was justified," Stone reported from her station. "Modified Nova bomb is ready, Captain. Delivery system shows green across the board. Target the largest devourer. We're going to see if these things can swallow a star." As the Retribution and her escort ships accelerated toward the massive creatures, the Zephyrian fleet fell back even further. The aliens watched in fascination and horror as the humans did what no other species had dared. They charged directly at the Devourers. The largest creature seemed to notice the approaching ships. Its tendrils writhed through space, reaching out toward the human fleet like grasping fingers. Energy discharges that had vaporized entire alien battle groups lanced out at the human vessels. "Shields holding," Voss reported, "but they won't last long under this kind of punishment." "Then we better make this count," Harrison said. "Stone, fire the Nova bomb." The modified weapon streaked through space, its trajectory calculated to penetrate deep into the Devourer's core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the creature's entire body convulsed as the artificial star ignited inside it. The explosion was visible from 3 star systems away. The price of victory. The aftermath of the Nova bomb detonation left everyone speechless. Where the massive Devourer had been, only an expanding cloud of exotic particles remained. The other 2 creatures in the system had stopped their feeding and were moving toward the human fleet with obvious hostile intent. "Confirmed kill on target 1, reported Stone, her voice filled with grim satisfaction. "But we've got company incoming." The remaining Devourers had changed somehow. Their bioluminescent bodies now pulsed with angry red energy instead of the peaceful blue-green they had displayed before. More concerning, they were moving faster than the alien reports had indicated was possible. "They're learning," Dr. Cross observed, his instruments tracking the creature's approach. The explosion didn't just kill one of them. It educated the others. They know we're dangerous now. Captain Harrison studied the tactical display grimly. How long until they reach us? At current speed, 12 minutes, Stone replied. But Captain, our Nova bomb supply is limited. We only brought 3 more. And they'll be expecting it now, added Engineer Voss. Look at how they're moving. They're keeping distance from each other, so we can't take out multiple targets with one weapon. The Zephyrian fleet watched from their safe distance as the human ships repositioned for the next engagement. Council Prime Vextar opened communications again, his four-armed form trembling with what might have been excitement or terror. Captain Harrison, our sensors detected the explosion. Did you actually kill one of them? Confirmed kill, Prime. But we're not done yet. How? Every weapon in the galaxy has failed against them. Harrison's expression was stone cold. Because every other species in the galaxy fights to preserve their own existence. Humans fight to win, regardless of the cost. The truth of that statement became clear as the nearest devourer closed to weapons range. Instead of firing the expected Nova bomb, Harrison ordered something that made even his own crew hesitate. All ships, execute ramming speed protocol. We're going to feed them something they can't digest. Us. Captain, Dr. Cross protested. That's suicide. No, Doc, that's war. Harrison activated the ship-wide intercom. All hands. Prepare for ramming attack. Engineering, overload the reactor cores. If we're going down, we're taking them with us. The human fleet accelerated directly toward the approaching devourers, but this wasn't a simple suicide run. It was a calculated tactical decision that only humans would consider. Each ship was equipped with self-destruct charges designed to create containment breaches in their fusion reactors. Zephyrian fleet, stand by to observe, Harrison transmitted. You wanted to see what makes humans dangerous. This is why the galaxy fears us. The first human ship, the destroyer UES Defiance, penetrated the Devourer's outer membrane and detonated its reactor deep inside the creature's body. The explosion wasn't as spectacular as the Nova bomb, but it had a different effect. The Devourer's feeding processes went haywire as it tried to absorb the unstable fusion plasma. It's working, shouted Cross. The reactor plasma is poisoning its energy conversion process. 2 more ships followed the Defiance into the creature's body, their crews volunteering for certain death to save trillions of lives. The second Devourer writhed in what could only be described as agony as multiple fusion explosions tore it apart from the inside. The third Devourer, seeing its companions destroyed, began to retreat. But Harrison wasn't about to let it escape. To warn others of its kind, all remaining ships pursuit course. We end this here. Captain, Communications Officer Park said quietly. Admiral Thompson is requesting a status report. Tell him the job's getting done, Harrison replied. And tell him we've learned something important about these creatures. They can be killed, but it requires a level of tactical brutality that most species aren't capable of. As the human fleet chased down the final devourer, the Zephyrian observers watched in stunned silence. They had asked the most dangerous species in the galaxy for help, and they were getting exactly what they had bargained for. The question now was whether the cure would prove worse than the disease. The galaxy's new reality. 3 hours later, the last devourer in the Kepler system had been destroyed. The human fleet, reduced to half its original strength, regrouped near the Zephyrian position. Captain Harrison stood on his damaged bridge, surveying the cost of victory. Casualty report, he requested quietly. 4 ships lost with all hands, Stone reported. 732 crew members gave their lives to stop those things. Dr. Cross looked up from his analysis station. But we learned something. Crucial, Captain. The Devourers aren't invincible. They're just operating on energy principles that standard galactic warfare doesn't account for. Our willingness to use fusion reactors as weapons gave us the edge. The main screen activated, showing Council Prime Vextar's astonished face. Captain Harrison, our sensors confirm all 3 Devourers have been eliminated. How did you succeed where our entire alliance failed? Harrison's response was matter of fact. Because we fight differently than you do, Prime. Your species tries to preserve life at all costs. Sometimes to save life, you have to be willing to spend it. But the losses, those crew members who died as heroes, Harrison interrupted firmly. They knew the stakes. Every human in this fleet volunteered for a mission they knew might be suicide. That's what separates us from the rest of the galaxy. Communications Officer Park looked up from her station. Captain, we're receiving multiple transmissions from across the galaxy. Word of our victory is spreading fast. The bridge's tactical display suddenly filled with dozens of communication requests from various alien species. The Crystalline Collective, the Ethereal Empire, the Machine Syndicate. Every major power wanted to speak with the humans who had done the impossible. Sir, Park continued, Admiral Thompson is also requesting immediate contact. Admiral Thompson's face appeared on screen, his expression unreadable. Captain, I've been monitoring the situation. Congratulations on your victory, but we need to discuss the implications. Implications, sir? Harrison, in the past 6 hours, we've received diplomatic contact requests from over 200 alien governments. The quarantine is effectively over. The galaxy knows we exist, knows what we're capable of, and they all want to talk. Dr. Cross stepped forward. Admiral, there's something else. Our analysis of the Devourers suggests they weren't the only threat out there. There are energy signatures similar to theirs in multiple sectors. This was just the beginning. Which means, Harrison asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. Which means the galaxy is going to need humanity's help again, Admiral Thompson replied grimly. The question is, are we ready to become the galaxy's police force? Captain Harrison looked around his battered bridge at the crew members who had just proven that humans could succeed where everyone else had failed. Then he looked at the tactical display, showing dozens of alien fleets maintaining respectful distances from the human ships. Admiral, 3 days ago we were a quarantined species that the galaxy considered too dangerous to interact with. Today, we're their saviors. Tomorrow we might be their rulers. And that doesn't concern you? Harrison's smile was cold and calculating. Sir, they asked the most dangerous species in the galaxy for help. They got exactly what they asked for. If they don't like the consequences, they should have thought about that before they came begging. Council Prime Vextar's voice interrupted. Captain, on behalf of the Galactic Alliance, I must ask, what are humanity's intentions now? Will you return to your home system? Harrison looked at the alien leader for a long moment. Prime, your quarantine was supposed to protect the galaxy from us, but it also protected us from the galaxy's problems. That protection is gone now. Meaning humanity is now invested in galactic security. We've seen what happens when threats like the Devourers aren't stopped early. We won't let that happen again. As the transmission ended, Dr. Cross quietly asked, Captain, are we liberators or conquerors? Harrison studied the display showing hundreds of alien ships waiting for humanity's next move. Doc, sometimes there isn't a difference. The galaxy asked us to save them. We did. Now they get to live with the consequences of that choice. The human fleet began its journey back toward Earth, but everyone knew they would return. The galaxy had learned that humans were the most dangerous species, not because they were evil, but because they were effective. And effectiveness, as the galaxy was about to discover, could be the most dangerous trait of all.